Welcome to the Business Spotlight series. My name is Cote, and I'm your podcast host for today's episode. And today on the show, I have Darren Brown, co-founder and president of SoccerZone and CFO of Texas Card House, on with me today. We're going to be sharing his journey to business ownership, some best practices he's learned along the way, as well as some challenges that he may have faced, to give you that inside look to what it's like to run and operate a business. If this is your first time on our channel, be sure to like and subscribe when we drop episodes like this, so you can get notified of all the goodness that we bring. Welcome to the show, Darren. It is so great to see you, to meet you. Thanks for being
Thank you,
here.
Kay. And thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Well, let's dive right in. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure, yeah. My name is Darren Brown. I'm married and have two kids here in Austin. My wife and I moved here 22 years ago when I got into the University of Texas Law School. We moved from North Carolina. We got married right out of school. I graduated from Wofford College, and she graduated from Western Carolina University. And we had decided that we would go to move to the highest rated law school I got into, and University of Texas was it. And I had grown up outside of Dallas as a kid. I'd lived there for about 6 years, so I had really fond memories of Texas growing up. And so I was excited to get back to Texas. And yeah, I really enjoyed my time at University of Texas at law school there. I never really went to law school though to be a lawyer. I'm more was into business and sports and wanted to get into the sports industry in some way. And I knew going to law school would open doors for me and possibly give me those opportunities. Sure enough, I got out of law school, and I did a lot of intramural sports. I enjoyed my time for sure. Um, I even played arena football, during law school and after law school. I played at Wofford College as well as a field goal kicker. But soccer was always my passion, and it still is. And so when I got out of law school, I had an opportunity to go work for Major League Baseball up in New York, which would have been a fun opportunity, but it was an internship making like $18,000, which would barely pay for housing, and it just didn't seem like something that my wife or I were too excited about. And we really liked Texas, and we wanted to stay here. And so I was practicing law and got an opportunity from a client, actually. I was doing property tax law. And a client said, who had hired me to handle their property taxes, said, "Hey, we're opening an indoor soccer facility in South Austin, and we'd love for you to be a part of it, to invest." And I said, "Well, I owe more money than I have right now, so I don't know if I'm the right person to ask to invest." But long story short, my wife and I scraped up, the $20,000 we needed to invest and own 2% of this company that hadn't even started yet. It was being built, and so that was in 2000. Oh gosh, 2007, and we opened the business at Manchac and Slaughter with SoccerZone South Austin in 2008, and at the time I was practicing law part-time and helping manage and get that place open and, get customers, because it was just, there was nothing there. We didn't have a lot of indoor soccer options in Austin at the time. And I grew up in North Carolina where we had no indoor soccer, nowhere, not anywhere close. It was a basketball gym with a soccer ball bouncing around. It was the closest we had to indoor soccer. And so me and two business partners got that place open. It was very successful. We ultimately ended up opening an inline hockey facility up in Round Rock, and another indoor soccer facility up in Cedar Park. And I bought one of my business partners out a couple years into the process, and then I bought my other business partner out about let's see, golly, was it about 10 years ago. So it's been a while, but yeah, and at some point I opened two indoor soccer facilities in San Antonio as well. And those did moderately well, but it was a lot of travel. And fortunately, I own the real estate, so even though I wasn't making a lot of money on the operating companies, I did fairly well on the real estate, and so I ended up selling both of those. And now I just focus on the two indoor soccer facilities in Austin, one in South Austin, and one in Cedar Park, and then Texas Card House, which is a poker club that I help own and operate. I'm the CFO, so it's a big company now. We have over 800 employees, and I'm a very small cog in that wheel. But it's been quite an adventure as well. I can tell you more about that as well.
Wow, that sounds incredible. What a journey. You have so much cool stuff going on, especially with sports and different things. So excited to kind of deep dive into these businesses. So looking at, you mentioned you love soccer and that's kind of the why. I'd love to deep dive into the why. Like, what did that feel like when you were ready to, I'd say, let's say when you bought your partners out, what was that feeling like when you kind of took over that business like that?
Yeah, no, it was exciting. I mean, it was a two-step process. So the first partner that I bought out allowed me to own a little bit more of the company and have a greater stake in the operation. And that was pretty early on. That was around 2010 or so.
Mm.
I had to raise money from investors to do that. And ironically, years down the road when I bought out my other business partner, I had to raise money from investors as well. And at that point, the business was worth more, so it took more money. Yeah, that was really exhilarating feeling. Absolutely. Obviously, there's a lot more responsibility, but you obviously have a lot more freedom to make decisions and go the route you want to go, and you don't have to, you know, juggle with someone that you don't always agree with. I mean, I learned a whole lot from people that I've been partners with in the past, and I'm blessed for that knowledge and that I've gained from them. But at the same time, I'm pretty confident in my ability to run a business and to make decisions to help it do well and be successful.
Definitely. Now, between those, was it four locations, correct? For the
So
soccer?
yes, at one point I had four soccer zones. So there
Okay.
was Soccer Zone San Antonio West, Soccer Zone Live Oak, and those were both essentially in San Antonio. So
Hmm.
it was a lot of driving back and forth, and it was fun. I met a lot of great people. I had some incredible employees, and it was fun, but it wasn't highly profitable. And so when somebody offered me a good amount for the real estate, it was a great opportunity to exit. Um, and yeah, now I just focus on the two soccer zones here in Austin, and they both do quite well. So it's less travel to San Antonio, and my kids, my family, they play at Soccer Zone. So and I play there, twice a week. So we're there. We're part of the community, and that's what's great about Soccer Zone. I have incredible staff at each location, and the community that has been built up around each of the soccer zones. It's just incredible. I mean, people come out and watch games and hang out. They bring their family, their spouses, and each soccer zone has just become a community hub for people to gather and hang out and watch soccer, and in some cases other sports as well. We have ultimate frisbee, lacrosse, flag football, even tackle football, all sorts of different activities that take place, even though the main business is definitely soccer.
Yeah, that's incredible. Now, how many employees do you have across the two complexes now?
The two soccer zones, we have about 25, core employees. And then in the summer, we ramp up because we have our All-Star Sports Camp, which is a really successful, really fun summer camp for kids. And essentially it's, come to our camp and learn about different sports And, we keep kids active. We keep them moving. We keep them learning new things and playing and having fun. So they may be playing, badminton or volleyball or dodgeball or kickball or, wiffle ball, soccer, flag football. We introduce them to all kinds of different sports, and um, the kids have a blast. And we've been running those camps since 2010, and we're at right near capacity every summer, so they've been very successful.
That's really cool. How much would you say you ramp up employee-wise during the summer?
Uh, we hire an additional probably. We probably double in size in the summer, yeah,
Okay.
probably an additional 25 kids. We call them kids, but they're high school, college students. And we do bring in some adults as well. So it's not just kids. We try to fill the leadership roles with parents and people who have experience working with kids, teachers, and that sort of thing. And so it's fun. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, if you like being around kids, then you enjoy running summer camps and working at summer camps.
Oh, that's so fun. Absolutely love that. And kind of looking at what you're going into, like say in the next 3 to 5 years, where do you see the companies growing to?
Yeah, well, it's interesting with SoccerZone. We have the majority of our business is adult leagues, and so we run leagues 7 nights a week from 5:45 until 12:30 at night. And we start a game every 45 minutes, and that's on our main large indoor field. And then we have ancillary fields, either indoor and outdoor, where we rent space to clubs or trainers or teams. Even and we host birthday parties. We run a soccer Cubs program for little kids that is a child development program that's very successful. And so we do other things, beyond the adult leagues, but the adult leagues is our bread and butter. That's the core of our business. But my hope over the next 3 to 5 years is that we can continue to grow our youth programs. So the birthday parties, the soccer Cubs, the rentals, we have a La Academia program at our Cedar Park location, that we put into leagues and we run with youth leagues. We have a La Academia program at SoccerZone South Austin that is just year-round training. So we provide really good coaches that train and work with the kids and develop their skills. And so my hope over the next 3 to 5 years is we can grow the youth programs, because they're not quite at capacity like our adult programs are. And the adult programs are limited because people are working during the day. And so there's not a whole lot we can do, during the day when people are working. So we're limited to weekends and evenings. And to some extent, those limitations apply to kids as well. But kids get out of school
Mm-hmm.
sooner than adults get out of work usually. And and so there are definitely opportunities for growth. We have an after school program, Halo, that operates in our South Austin location.
Mm-hmm.
And we have other tenants as well inside the facilities. We have a barber shop that's in both locations. And so, and we have a bar and restaurant in each location as well that are separately owned and managed from us. So yeah, it's a lot of moving parts, but it's exciting. It's a lot of fun. No 2 days are the same. There's always new challenges and things that are happening and going on, and it's a lot of fun though.
Oh, definitely. You actually brought up a great keyword, which I was going to say was what is a challenge you maybe face? Because we want to, share with these business owners that, there are challenges out there sometimes and how do we overcome them? So what's something that you're facing that you're working through right now?
Yeah, yeah. There's always, regulatory challenges and legal type challenges, I suppose, which are very different between Soccer Zone and Texas Card House. With Soccer Zone, it's just a matter of getting keeping our permits going and active and paid and up to date. And I would say, with Soccer Zone, the biggest challenge that we have from an operational standpoint is our referees. It is very difficult to to hire, train, and motivate the referees that referee the games. It's a very tough task, and as a player and as a customer, we expect the referees to do a 100% good job, a very good job. I mean, you're the arbiter of the game. And so
Right.
when you're playing a game, you want the rules applied fairly to both teams. And, whether you're watching an NFL game or a Major League Soccer game or, any sport, you name it, the referees make mistakes and they're not perfect. And so when we have, recreational level soccer leagues, it applies to our referees as well. They have challenges. They do their best, but they're not making a lot of money, and so it's a challenge to keep them motivated to work the entire night and to make sure that 5:45 game is reffed well, and then the 11:45 at night game is reffed well, and there and all 7 games in between those two. So it's a lot, and we ask a lot of them, and we expect a lot of them, and that's definitely a challenge. Now with my Texas Card House business, it's the challenges are very different, and we have, like I said, over 800 employees, and so obviously staffing is a huge challenge. But we have an HR team that's amazing. We have an executive team that allows me and my business partner Ryan Crowe, the CEO, to manage the company efficiently, effectively, and so our biggest challenges are really the some top level type stuff. Like, for instance, we are welcomed into neighborhoods by the city council, by DAs, by the local police. In most cases, if there is a neighborhood or a DA or city council that doesn't want us to open a new location, we won't move in there. We won't open there. And so what's challenging is if a city, like right now we're dealing with Dallas, a city that welcomed us with open arms, and then a city council member decided that she wanted to oppose our use, and so now she's trying to get us shut down. And so we've been dealing with that through the courts for years. And so it's been a lot of headache and a lot of expense and a lot of time, invested in just trying to maintain the business that we have there and the hundreds of employees that we employ at that location. And we pay a lot of taxes and we operate above board. We're very nice facilities. I mean, it's basically like a country club, but instead of members coming to pay green fees to play golf, they're coming to
Mhm.
pay club access fees to use our facilities, and then they just play poker amongst themselves. We don't take a cut of the gambling whatsoever. We just
Mhm.
provide the security and the dealers and the tables and a nice facility with a restaurant and bar, and let members use the facility as they want.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing about that, and especially with the both different sides and different challenges with each one. I kind of want to take it back to the staffing one for, your soccer, like with the referees. Do you have systems currently in place that you're like doing continued outreach to recruit for those positions, or how are you looking at that right now?
Yeah, so the soccer community in Austin is a pretty tight-knit community. I mean, yeah, indoor soccer, outdoor soccer, there's a lot of overlap, of course. And most people, I would say, play both indoor and outdoor soccer. And we, just to one extent or another, everybody knows each other. And so we're constantly, looking for new referees to bring in. And there's not an indoor licensing system for indoor soccer refs, but there is an outdoor licensing, just because nationwide there's a lot more outdoor soccer than there is indoor soccer. And so, we tend to recruit licensed outdoor refs, more experience, the better. And then we just teach them the rules differences between indoor and outdoor. And there are a handful, maybe more than a handful, but once you go over them a couple times, once you've refereed indoor, it's really not that much different. I mean, it's a little harder to ref indoor soccer, I think, just because everything is so compact and the action is so intense, like on top of each other, and the ball just doesn't like it doesn't go into open space very often, like in outdoor soccer. So the referees have to be the referees really have to be on top of things and have to really keep things from escalating and getting out of hand,
Mm.
more so than even outdoor soccer.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing about that, and for opening up. It's been so inspiring to hear about your business. Now I want to dive into a fun part of the Q&A called our rapid fire questions, where you answer 4 questions very top of mind. So yes, Darren, are you ready for some rapid fire?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Question number 1 is, what is the key to success for you?
Ooh, key to success. I think it's just staying engaged and keeping staff motivated. Because when you have staff motivated and excited to be there and caring about the business, then it makes all the difference in the world. I mean, because I can care about the customers, I can want there to be a first class experience provided, but if my staff isn't on board with that, it doesn't matter what I'd say or what I do. So making sure I have staff that are either self-motivated and passionate about what we're doing, or staff that I can motivate, to care and to make sure that, the place is mopped, every night, that the bathrooms are cleaned, in the middle of the shift, not just at the end of the shift, and to make sure people are welcomed into the facility, to make sure, if a referee makes a mistake, that it's addressed and not just glossed over and, forgotten about, and to interact with the customers, because a lot of times, when you're competing, you can, tempers flare, and, people get excited, and especially if they think they've been wronged, or even worse, if they've been hurt and think they've been wronged, then, people can get angry. And so dealing with those types of situations in a productive, calm way, goes a long way. If you're arrogant or annoyed, as an employee, as a customer facing, person, then it can make the customer, it can really turn the customer off, because even after the customer's calmed down and he may realize that it wasn't that big of a deal and he shouldn't have lost his temper or lost his cool. Well, if the employee handled the situation poorly, then that customer is going to remember that. And fortunately, I think our employees do an amazing job of interacting with customers in those heated moments, quite well.
Yeah, that's good. That's very inspiring. What would you say is a piece of advice that you would give to other business owners?
Oh goodness. I mean, I think networking is critical. I mean, a friend of mine in North Carolina, who was I guess my first boss, Chuck Roper, he told me, that, networking is critical. And I think that's very true. The more people you meet, the more opportunities that get presented, the more doors that can open. So I mean, I think, and obviously that's for maybe younger entrepreneurs, more than older entrepreneurs, but I think it still applies, today, and still applies even after I've been in business for as long as I have. I think networking and just staying a part of the community and continuing to meet new people and putting yourself out there is important, and helps with your business, and also, just perseverance. Like, if someone tells you can't do something, and or prove them wrong. Like, I've also often been motivated by, people doubting me, or people not thinking that I have the ability to do something, and then, proving them wrong. So
Definitely. Well, those are great, both great things. And the third question is, it could be a piece of content, it could be a book, a podcast, something that you've taken in most recently.
oh goodness. Yeah. So the most recent book I read it was, I guess, a marketing book. It was called Influence by Robert Cialdini. And it was really good. It was really long. And to be honest, it was an audiobook, but it was really good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It really went into a lot of details about, how to influence people and how, to more likely get people to do what you want or buy a product that you want or, follow instructions that you give them. And so, to me, it was essentially a marketing book, and I thought it was really good. So yeah, Influence is one I would highly recommend.
Definitely. I just put that one down on my list. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah,
Final.
the podcast, The Verdict with Ted Cruz. I enjoy his podcasts.
Okay. Okay. Yes. I think I've heard of that one too. I'm a big podcast person myself. So, but yeah, that's a really good, both of those are good to check out. And the final question is, if you could wave a magic wand and overnight rapidly improve one aspect of your business, and we'll go with this soccer business, what would it be?
Oh goodness, that's a great question. I mean, my staff really does a great job, and we have very little turnover. So I mean, retention is amazing. And so the only thing that I think, in terms of improving, I think. I would say, I always think we can, and I tell my staff this, like we can always clean more.
Yeah.
If there's a corner of the facility that hasn't been cleaned in a week, it can be cleaned.
Mhm.
So and my facilities are 23,000 square feet plus an upstairs, a 35,000 square feet, plus an upstairs. So they're big, and there's a lot of nooks and crannies, and so we can definitely do more cleaning, and we can always improve our refereeing situation, and like I said, motivate and train our referees even better than we currently do. And so those are the areas where I feel like it's just like constant improvement is needed.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing that. Before we get to our final question for today, how can people connect with your businesses online?
Sure. So the websites are soccerzonetexas.com. And that will get you to both Soccer Zone Lakeline and Soccer Zone South Austin. And then texascardhouse.com. It's Texas spelled out. Texascardhouse.com. That'll get you to all 6 locations we have. We are in Houston, Spring, Edinburgh, Dallas, Las Colinas, and Austin. I live here in Austin, so I'm at the Austin location often. We have 2 locations, Las Colinas and Austin, where we have a full bar and restaurant, and the food is amazing. And those 2 locations are called TCH Social, because it's more than just a poker club. You can actually just come in, bring your kids, and have an amazing meal.
Oh, wow. Thank you for sharing that. Well, that's
Yeah.
incredible. Well, this has been a great conversation. I have one more question for you. Our final question of the day is, what is most inspiring to you today?
What is most inspiring to me today? Oh my goodness. I don't know. Anytime my kids come home with some cool project from school that inspires me, and it excites me, and I feel like we've come such a long way, and preparing our kids, to become adults, and so I love seeing that. My brother is a teacher; he's a fifth-grade teacher as well. So, hearing stories from him about the kids that he's teaching, and then of course just seeing my kids come home from school with all the different projects and things they're working on and things they've accomplished. Yeah, I love it. And that's probably what gets me excited.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Darren. That's very inspiring. And again, this is such a great conversation. Thank you for sharing about your businesses and for being on the show today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Have a great day.